Cincinnati, 1937, a city draped in shadows and secrets. Whispers slithered through the streets, whispers of a monster hiding in plain sight. Her name? Marie Hahn, a name that sent shivers down spines. She was a wife, a mother, a fiend, America's first female serial killer. Marie Hahn, the poisonous housewife. A woman who used her charm like a weapon, disarming her victims before delivering the fatal blow. Her weapon of choice? Poison. Her victims, mostly elderly men, were lured into a false sense of security. They saw a woman in need, a damsel in distress. Little did they know they were staring into the eyes of their executioner. Each death, a carefully orchestrated performance. The air in Cincinnati grew thick with suspicion. Whispers of arsenic laced the conversations in hushed tones. Too many sudden deaths, too many grieving relatives left with unanswered questions. The authorities, initially dismissive, were forced to take notice. A neighbor commenting on the frequency of funerals attended by Mrs. Hahn. A doctor, puzzled by the similar symptoms plaguing her supposed benefactors. The police, initially hesitant to suspect a woman, especially one with such a seemingly innocent demeanor. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, like the ominous drumbeat of an approaching storm. Her carefully constructed facade began to crack, revealing the monster lurking beneath, and with each stroke, the noose of justice tightened around her neck. The city held its breath, waiting for the moment the charade would end. The investigation, once sluggish and skeptical, gained momentum. The trail of bodies, initially dismissed as unfortunate coincidences, became impossible to ignore. Each victim connected to Marie Hahn by a sinister thread. John Doe, a kindly old man who had taken pity on Anna's supposed financial woes. Jane Smith, an elderly widow charmed by Anna's attentiveness and care. The investigators, piecing together the fragments of evidence, uncovered a pattern of deception. Wills mysteriously altered in Anna's favor, life insurance policies hastily taken out, poison meticulously slipped into unsuspecting victims' food and drink. The authorities were determined to see her brought to justice. Anna Marie Filser, born in Bavaria, 1906, a childhood shrouded in whispers and shadowed by scandal. Her mother, an unwed maid, bore the mark of societal disapproval. Anna Marie, the illegitimate child, carried the weight of this stigma. Life in their small Bavarian village was harsh. Poverty whispered on the wind, chilling their small home. Anna Marie, a solitary child, found solace in her own company. Her imagination, a refuge, became a breeding ground for fantasies of a different life. America, the land of opportunity. Anna Marie clung to the stories of riches and freedom whispered by those who dared to dream. Section 2. The Promise of America, 1929. A young Anna Marie, barely out of her teens, arrived on American shores. Her heart, a drumbeat of anticipation, echoed the dreams of countless immigrants before her. But America, the land of promise, could also be a cruel mistress. The bustling streets of Chicago, a stark contrast to her quiet Bavarian village. She found work as a maid, her days a blur of drudgery and endless chores. The American dream, it seemed, was not so easily attained. Disillusionment, a bitter pill, settled in her stomach, twisting her dreams into something dark and desperate. Section 3. The Gambling Housewife. Marriage, a gamble she was willing to take. She met Philip Hahn, a man of simple means, captivated by her quiet beauty. They settled into a life that mirrored the monotony of her childhood. Boredom, a dangerous companion, whispered in her ear. The gambling dens of Chicago became her escape. The thrill of the game, the allure of easy money, consumed her. Wins were celebrated with reckless abandon, losses mourned with bitter desperation. Debts piled up, a looming shadow over their already fragile household. Philip, oblivious to the extent of her addiction, remained a distant figure. Anna Marie, trapped in a life she despised, grew increasingly resentful. Section 4. Love, Lust, and Cyanide. Her gaze, cold and calculating, settled on an elderly boarder, George Zellman. He was alone, vulnerable, and most importantly, wealthy. Anna Marie saw an opportunity, a chance to solve her financial woes and indulge her growing greed. She befriended the old man, showering him with feigned affection and care. He, starved for companionship, readily accepted her attention, oblivious to the danger lurking beneath her charming facade. Arsenic, a silent, odorless killer. The poison became her weapon of choice, a tool to eliminate obstacles and pave her path to a life of comfort and luxury. George Zellman, none the wiser, consumed the poisoned food and drink, his trust in Anna Marie his final undoing. Ernst Kohler, a fixture in Chicago's underground gambling dens, became Anna Marie's next target. He was a man who knew the streets, a survivor, yet he too fell victim to her deceptive charm and desperate need. Ernst, a seasoned gambler, saw through Anna Marie's facade, recognizing a kindred spirit in her desperation. He underestimated her ruthlessness, her willingness to do whatever it took to win, even if it meant taking a life. Their encounters, initially fueled by a shared love for the game, soon morphed into something darker. Anna Marie, drowning in debt, saw Ernst as her ticket out. His death, attributed to a heart attack brought on by the stress of gambling, raised no suspicions. She was now a predator, confident and in control. Albert Broker, a lonely widower, crossed paths with Anna Marie shortly after Ernst Kohler's demise. He was a kind man, still grieving the loss of his wife, an easy target for Anna Marie's brand of calculated compassion. She presented herself as a shoulder to cry on, a sympathetic ear in a world that seemed to have forgotten him. Albert, starved for human connection, welcomed her into his life, his home, his heart. He never suspected the darkness she carried within. Anna Marie, her eyes firmly on the prize, his modest savings, played the role of the devoted caretaker to perfection. She cooked for him, cleaned his home, and listened patiently to his stories of a life well lived. All the while, she was plotting his demise, his death, a mere stepping stone on her path to financial security. Word of Albert Broker's sudden death reached his family. They were suspicious. The circumstances seemed too convenient, too similar to the deaths of other elderly men who had the misfortune of crossing paths with Anna Marie. Their suspicions, fueled by whispers and rumors that followed Anna Marie like a shroud, prompted them to contact the authorities. The police, initially hesitant to reopen a closed case, reluctantly agreed to investigate. The investigation, though in its infancy, cast a long shadow over Anna Marie's carefully constructed facade. The whispers grew louder, more persistent, like a chorus of condemnation. Her neighbors, once enamored by her charm, now eyed her with a mixture of fear and distrust. The net was closing in, and she, the unsuspecting prey, was about to be caught in its deadly embrace. Jacob Wagner, a frail and elderly man, became Anna Marie's next target. He was a distant relative, estranged from his immediate family, his only companion a housekeeper who diligently tended to his needs. Anna Marie, sensing an opportunity to exploit his isolation, ingratiated herself into his life. She showered him with attention, feigning concern for his well-being, all the while plotting to claim his modest estate for herself. Jacob, lonely and starved for human connection, welcomed Anna Marie's visits. He saw in her a surrogate daughter, someone to share his final days with. He never suspected that the woman who brought him meals and kind words was slowly poisoning him. Anna Marie, her heart a cold, empty void, inherited his meager possessions and quickly moved on to her next victim. George Heisler, a reclusive bachelor with a penchant for betting on horses, became Anna Marie's next victim. He was a creature of habit, predictable in his routines, an easy mark for a woman who had perfected the art of deception. Anna Marie, her eyes gleaming with avarice, befriended the old gambler, learning his habits, his weaknesses, his vulnerabilities. She played the part of the adoring admirer, showering him with compliments and empty promises, all the while plotting his demise. His death, like those before him, was swift and silent, a poisoned drink, a final toast to a life cut short by greed and betrayal. The authorities, now aware of the pattern, focused their attention on the seemingly harmless housewife. Anna Marie Hahn, the poisonous housewife, was about to face her reckoning. The whispers surrounding Anna Marie Hahn had reached a fever pitch. No longer hushed murmurs in the marketplace, they became accusations, pointed fingers, and fearful glances cast in her direction. The deaths, once easily dismissed as acts of God or nature's cruel hand, now bore the chilling weight of suspicion. The police, initially slow to connect the dots, faced mounting pressure from a community on edge. Newspapers, hungry for a sensational story, ran headlines that screamed murder and painted Anna Marie as a black widow preying on unsuspecting men. Detective George Smith, a seasoned investigator with a nose for the truth, took over the case. He saw through Anna Marie's facade, recognizing the cold, calculating mind behind her innocent blue eyes. The coincidences were too numerous to ignore. Section 2. The exhumation of suspicions. The investigation took a decisive turn with the exhumation of Philip Hahn, Anna Marie's husband. His death, initially attributed to heart failure, now seemed suspicious, a missing piece in the puzzle that was Anna Marie's life. The autopsy, conducted under the watchful eyes of Detective Smith and a team of forensic experts, revealed traces of arsenic in Philip's system. The discovery sent shockwaves through the investigation, confirming Smith's suspicions. Anna Marie Hahn was not a grieving widow but a cold-blooded killer. The exhumation of Philip's body opened a Pandora's box of speculation and horror. Had Anna Marie murdered her own husband? The question hung in the air, a chilling testament to the depths of her depravity. With each passing day, the web of evidence grew tighter, ensnaring Anna Marie in its deadly embrace. Section 3. Arsenic and Old Lace. Unveiling the truth. The investigation uncovered a pattern of poisoning, with arsenic as Anna Marie's weapon of choice. Witnesses, initially hesitant to speak out against a seemingly harmless woman, came forward with damning testimonies. They described Anna Marie's strange behavior, her unusual interest in the illnesses of her victims, and her uncanny ability to be present at the time of their deaths. The evidence against Anna Marie mounted traces of arsenic found in her home, financial records detailing suspicious transactions, and a growing list of witnesses whose testimonies painted a chilling portrait of a woman driven by greed and a callous disregard for human life. Detective Smith, sensing victory within reach, orchestrated a carefully planned sting operation. The stage was set for her capture, the trap ready to be sprung. Section 4. The walls close in. The walls closed in on Anna Marie Hahn as swiftly and surely as a hangman's noose. Confronted with the overwhelming evidence against her, she crumbled, her carefully constructed facade shattering like thin ice. Her confession, a chilling litany of her crimes, sent shockwaves through the nation. The news of her arrest spread like wildfire, igniting a media frenzy. Reporters clamored for interviews, photographers fought for the perfect shot, and the public, captivated by the story of the poisonous housewife, devoured every detail. Anna Marie Hahn, once a seemingly ordinary housewife, became a symbol of evil, her name forever etched in the annals of American crime history. The trial, a media spectacle, would further cement her legacy as one of the most notorious female serial killers of all time. The world watched in horrified fascination as justice prepared to run its course. The year was 1937. The city of Cincinnati prepared itself for a spectacle unlike any it had seen before. Anna Marie Hahn, the unassuming housewife, the alleged poisoner, the Black Widow of Cincinnati, was on trial for her life. The air crackled with anticipation. The courtroom, a stage for human drama, was overflowing. Reporters scribbled furiously, their pens scratching like a horde of insects, eager to capture every detail of the sensational trial. The eyes of the nation, indeed the world, were on Cincinnati. Anna Marie, once a master manipulator, now sat silently, her fate in the hands of 12 strangers. Gone was the charming facade, the deceptive mask of innocence. In its place, a stoic demeanor, a flicker of defiance in her eyes. The prosecution, led by the formidable Charles Elston, was determined to prove her guilt beyond a shadow of a doubt. They had amassed a mountain of evidence, witnesses, financial records, and the chilling presence of arsenic, the silent killer, linking Anna Marie to each victim. Cincinnati, a city known for its beer and its baseball, was now synonymous with the macabre tale of Anna Marie Hahn. Her story, a chilling blend of true crime and domestic horror, captivated and terrified in equal measure. The city's social circles buzzed with speculation. Neighbors whispered about their encounters with Anna Marie, their words laced with a mixture of fear and fascination. Had they known a monster all along? The trial became a macabre form of entertainment, a daily drama played out in the courtroom and splashed across the front pages of every newspaper. People lined up for hours to secure a coveted seat in the gallery, eager to witness justice, or perhaps revenge, served. The trial, however, was more than just a spectacle. It forced Cincinnati, and indeed the nation, to confront the unsettling reality that evil could lurk in the most unexpected of places, behind the facade of normalcy, in the heart of a seemingly ordinary housewife. Section 3. The prosecution's case, a trail of arsenic and deceit. Step by meticulous step, the prosecution laid out their case. They presented a damning narrative, weaving a tapestry of greed, deception, and cold-blooded murder, with Marie Hahn at its center. A parade of witnesses took the stand, their testimonies painting a disturbing portrait of a woman driven by an insatiable thirst for money and a willingness to do whatever it took to satisfy her desires. Financial records meticulously documented revealed a pattern of Marie inheriting money or possessions shortly after the deaths of her alleged victims. The amounts, while not extravagant, pointed to a motive greed, pure and simple. And then there was the arsenic, the silent killer found in the bodies of the victims, in Marie's possession, and even in the very walls of her home. The evidence, circumstantial and forensic, formed a noose, tightening its grip around Marie with each passing day. Section 4. The verdict, justice, or vengeance. The tension in the courtroom was palpable as the jury filed back in, their faces etched with the weight of their deliberations. The silence, thick and heavy, pressed down on the room as the foreman read the verdict. Guilty. A collective gasp swept through the courtroom. For some, the verdict brought a sense of relief, confirmation that justice had been served. For others, it was a chilling reminder of the darkness that could reside in the human heart. Marie Hahn, the woman who had once moved through life with such chilling ease, was now a condemned prisoner. Her fate, sealed by the 12 jurors, was a stark reminder that actions have consequences, even for those who believe themselves above the law. The trial of Marie Hahn, a landmark case in American legal history, marked the fall of a seemingly ordinary housewife turned cold-blooded killer. Her story, a cautionary tale whispered through the ages, serves as a chilling reminder that evil can wear many faces, and sometimes the most dangerous monsters are the ones hiding in plain sight. Section 1. A Legacy of Fear. Marie Hahn's reign of terror ended on December 7, 1938. Strapped into Ohio's electric chair, dubbed Old Sparky, she met her demise. The woman who had sown so much death, who had twisted the trust of the vulnerable into a weapon against them, became a victim herself. Her execution, a public spectacle that drew crowds eager to witness the final act of this macabre drama, marked the end of one chapter, but the beginning of another. The legend of Marie Hahn, the poisonous housewife, lived on, seeping into the city's folklore, whispering through the generations. Cincinnati, forever marked by her crimes, remembered her as a cautionary tale, a reminder that darkness could lurk beneath the most unassuming facade. Parents whispered her name to misbehaving children, using her story as a chilling reminder to be wary of strangers, to trust their instincts. The legacy of Marie Hahn extended far beyond the borders of Cincinnati. Her case, a landmark in the annals of American crime, forced the nation to confront the unsettling reality. Women, despite societal expectations of nurturing and compassion, were capable of unspeakable acts. Section 2. The Face of Feminine Evil. Marie Hahn's trial and conviction shattered the illusion of female innocence that permeated American society in the 1930s. She became an unwelcome anomaly, a stark reminder that the face of evil could be as disarming as a warm smile and a plate of poisoned cookies. True crime, a genre that had largely focused on the exploits of male criminals, had a new archetype, the female serial killer. Marie Hahn, with her methodical planning, her cold-blooded execution, and her chilling lack of remorse, became a grim blueprint for a new breed of criminal. Her story, a gruesome tapestry woven from greed, desperation, and a chilling disregard for human life, continues to fascinate and horrify to this day. Books, documentaries, and countless articles have attempted to dissect her motives, to understand the darkness that drove her. Marie Hahn, a woman who craved the American dream but found herself trapped in a nightmare of her own making, remains an enigma. Her legacy, forever intertwined with the history of true crime, is a chilling reminder of the capacity for evil that resides within the human heart, regardless of gender.